If you are a U.S. citizen, a green card holder, or someone waiting for immigration approval, you may have seen alarming headlines recently about Congress passing quiet immigration cuts targeting people over 65. You might be feeling confused, worried, or even scared about what this means for you or your family. I want you to take a deep breath right now, because my goal today is not to add to your fear. My goal is to remove the confusion and explain this calmly, clearly, and honestly. My name is Piper, and I've been covering U.S. immigration news for years, breaking down complex changes into simple language that real people can understand. I am not here to spread rumors or create panic. I am here to give you the truth, explain what is actually happening, and help you understand whether this affects you or not. So please stay with me through this entire video, because by the end, you will have clarity, not fear. Before we begin, I need to make something very clear. I am not an immigration lawyer. I am not a government official. I am not giving you legal advice. What I am doing is explaining publicly available information in a way that is easy to understand. If you have a specific case or situation that requires legal action, you should always consult with a qualified immigration attorney. My role is simply to educate and inform. Think of me as someone who reads the fine print and then explains it to you over a cup of coffee. That is the spirit of this channel, and that is what we are going to do today. So let's start with the most important question. What is this about? What are these so-called quiet immigration cuts for people over 65? The short answer is this. Congress recently passed a budget bill that includes adjustments to funding for certain immigration programs. Some of these adjustments involve changes to how green card applications, visa renewals, and naturalization processes are prioritized and funded. Within that larger bill, there are sections that affect processing times, staffing levels at USCIS offices, and resources allocated to interviewing and reviewing cases for older applicants. The term cuts does not mean that anyone's citizenship is being taken away. It does not mean that green cards are being revoked. It does not mean that if you are over 65, you are suddenly in danger. What it does mean is that there may be longer processing times, fewer resources for certain services, and adjustments to how quickly some applications move through the system. This is about administrative changes, not about targeting individuals or stripping rights. Now let me be even more specific about who this actually applies to. These changes primarily affect people who are currently in the middle of applying for a green card, applying for naturalization, or renewing immigration documents. If you are over 65 and you are in one of these categories, you may experience delays. You may wait longer for your interview. You may see slower responses from USCIS. But let me be very clear. If you are already a U.S. citizen, whether you were born here or you naturalized years ago, this does not apply to you. Your citizenship is secure. It is protected by the Constitution. It cannot be taken away because of a budget bill. If you are a green card holder who received your green card years ago, and you are not currently applying for anything, you are also not directly impacted by these changes. Your green card remains valid. You are not at risk of losing your status simply because of your age. Let me now address some of the myths and misunderstandings that are circulating online. Myth number 1. Congress is trying to deport seniors. This is completely false. There is no provision in this bill that targets seniors for deportation. There is no new law that says being over 65 makes you deportable. What is happening is a reallocation of resources that may slow down some processes. That is very different from deportation. Myth number 2. If you are over 65 and naturalized, your citizenship can be taken away. Again, this is false. U.S. citizenship, once granted, is extraordinarily difficult to revoke. It can only be revoked in cases of fraud during the application process. And even then, it requires a court proceeding with evidence and due process. A budget bill does not change that. Your citizenship is not at risk simply because you are older. Myth number 3. Green card holders over 65 will be forced to leave the country. This is also not true. Green card holders have permanent resident status. That status does not expire because you turn 65 or 70 or 80. What may happen is that renewal processes take longer, or that if you need to update your documents, you may face delays. But you are not being forced out. Let me take a moment here to talk about what these changes actually mean in practical terms. Imagine you are a green card holder in your late 60s, and you decide you want to apply for citizenship. You submit your naturalization application. Under the old system, you might have waited 12 to 18 months for your interview and oath ceremony. Under the new system, with reduced staffing and funding, you might wait 24 to 30 months or longer. That is frustrating. That is stressful. But it is not a denial. It is a delay. Or imagine you are a permanent resident whose green card is about to expire. You need to renew it. You file your I-90 form. You might wait longer than usual to receive your new card. In the meantime, USCIS will send you a receipt notice that extends your green card for another year or more while they process your renewal. You are still legal. You are still protected. You are just waiting longer. Now, I want to talk about some important distinctions that people often confuse. First, there is a big difference between a naturalized citizen and a green card holder. If you are a naturalized citizen, you have the exact same rights and protections as someone born in the United States. Your passport says U.S. citizen. You vote. You are a full member of this country. A budget cut does not change that. A green card holder, on the other hand, is a permanent resident, but not a citizen. You have the right to live and work here permanently, but you do not have all the rights of a citizen, and your status can be affected by certain actions or changes in law. That said, your green card does not disappear because of funding cuts. It may take longer to renew or adjust, but you remain a lawful permanent resident. Second, there is a difference between a mistake and fraud. Let me explain this carefully because it causes a lot of fear. If you made a mistake on your green card application years ago, perhaps you forgot to mention a short trip abroad, or you accidentally left out a minor detail, that is not fraud. Fraud means you intentionally lied or withheld information to deceive the government. Fraud is extremely serious and can lead to revocation of status or citizenship. But honest mistakes, especially small ones, are usually not grounds for revocation. If you are worried about something you did or did not include in your application years ago, and it was an honest mistake, you are almost certainly fine. USCIS deals with millions of applications. They understand that people make errors. What matters is intent. Third, there is a difference between a delay and a denial. A delay means your case is taking longer to process. A denial means your application was rejected. Right now, because of these budget changes, many people are going to experience delays. That does not mean your application is bad or that you did something wrong. It means the system is slow. USCIS is understaffed. Offices are backlogged. This is frustrating, but it is not personal. A denial, on the other hand, comes with a written explanation. It tells you why your application was rejected and what you can do next. If you receive a denial, that is when you need to speak with an immigration attorney. But a delay is just waiting. Let me also address the issue of dual citizenship because this confuses many people. If you are a naturalized U.S. citizen and you also hold citizenship in another country, that is called dual citizenship. The United States allows dual citizenship. You are not required to give up your other passport when you become a U.S. citizen. Some people worry that having dual citizenship makes them less secure or that it could be used against them. In reality, dual citizenship is very common and perfectly legal. It does not put your U.S. citizenship at risk. The only time dual citizenship becomes an issue is if you are accused of fraud during your naturalization process, or if you are working for a foreign government in a way that conflicts with U.S. interests. For the vast majority of dual citizens, this is never an issue. Now let's talk about what you should actually do if you are affected by these changes. First, if you are in the middle of an immigration process, do not panic. Continue following the instructions you have been given. Respond to any requests for evidence. Attend your interviews. Keep copies of everything you submit. If your case is delayed, check your case status online regularly using the USCIS case tracker. If you do not hear anything for many months, you can contact USCIS directly or speak with an immigration attorney to inquire about your case. But silence does not mean denial. It usually just means waiting. Second, if you are a green card holder and your card is about to expire, file your renewal application as soon as possible. Do not wait until the last minute. Give yourself plenty of time because processing is slow right now. When you file your I-90 renewal, you will receive a receipt notice. That receipt notice extends your green card for at least a year, often longer. Keep that receipt with you and your expired green card. Together, they prove your legal status. Third, if you are over 65 and you are thinking about applying for citizenship, you can still do so. You are not being discouraged or blocked. You just need to be prepared for longer wait times. If you are eligible for an exemption from the English test or the civics test because of your age and how long you have been a permanent resident, those exemptions still apply. Nothing in these budget changes affects those provisions. You can still apply with a medical waiver if you have a physical or mental condition that prevents you from taking the test. The rules have not changed. Only the speed has changed. Fourth, keep your immigration documents organized and accessible. Make copies of your green card, passport, naturalization certificate, travel records, and any correspondence from USCIS. Keep them in a safe place. If you ever need to prove your status or respond to a request, having these documents ready will make your life much easier. This is good advice regardless of any budget changes. Fifth, do not fall for scams. When people are afraid, scammers come out. You may see ads or emails claiming they can speed up your case for a fee. You may receive phone calls from people pretending to be from USCIS asking for money or personal information. Be very careful. USCIS will never call you asking for payment over the phone. They will never ask for your credit card number or bank account in a phone call. If you are unsure whether a communication is legitimate, hang up and call USCIS directly using the number on their official website. Do not trust random emails or texts. Now let me put this in the broader context of what is happening with immigration right now. If you have been following immigration news over the past few years, you know that processing times have been increasing across the board. This is not new. Even before this budget bill, people were waiting longer for green cards, work permits, travel documents, and naturalization. The reasons for this are complex. USCIS has faced staffing shortages. There have been pandemic-related backlogs. There have been policy changes that require more scrutiny of certain applications. The result is that everyone, not just people over 65, is experiencing delays. Family-based green card applicants are waiting years. Employment-based green card applicants from certain countries are waiting decades. Asylum seekers are waiting years for their hearings. This is the reality of the U.S. immigration system right now. It is slow. It is backlogged. It is frustrating. For people over 65, these delays can feel especially hard because time feels more precious. If you are 70 years old and waiting for citizenship, waiting 2 or 3 years feels very different than it does for someone who is 30. I understand that. I hear you. And I want you to know that your frustration is valid. But I also want you to know that these delays are not targeted at you because of your age. They are part of a much larger systemic issue. The good news is that the system, although slow, is still functioning. Applications are still being processed. Interviews are still happening. Citizenship ceremonies are still taking place. It is just taking longer. Let me also talk about traveling while you are waiting. If you are a green card holder and you are in the middle of a renewal or naturalization process, you can still travel internationally. However, there are some things you need to be aware of. If your green card is expired but you have a receipt notice for your renewal, you should carry both documents when you travel. Some airlines and immigration officers at the border may ask to see them. If you are applying for citizenship and you travel internationally, make sure you do not stay abroad for more than 6 months at a time, because long absences can raise questions about whether you intend to maintain permanent residence in the United States. If you need to travel for an extended period, you may want to apply for a re-entry permit before you leave. This shows USCIS that you intend to return and that your absence is temporary. I also want to address the emotional side of this, because immigration is not just paperwork. It is your life. It is your identity. It is your sense of security and belonging. If you are someone who immigrated to this country decades ago, who worked hard, paid taxes, raised your family here, and now you are older and worried that something might threaten your status, I want you to hear this. You are not disposable. You are not a burden. You are a valued member of this country. The fact that budget cuts are causing delays does not mean you are unwelcome. It means the government is managing limited resources poorly. That is a systemic failure, not a reflection of your worth. If you are feeling stressed or anxious about your immigration status, that is completely normal. Many people feel this way. Immigration is one of the most stressful experiences a person can go through, and it does not end when you get your green card or citizenship. There is always something to renew, something to update, something to worry about. If you have family members or friends who are also navigating this system, talk to them. Share your experiences. You are not alone. There are millions of people in the same situation, and if you are feeling overwhelmed, it is okay to seek support. Talk to a counselor or therapist who understands the immigrant experience. Many community organizations offer free or low-cost mental health services for immigrants. Now let me bring this back to the core question. Should you be worried about these immigration cuts? The honest answer is that it depends on your situation. If you are a U.S. citizen, you should not be worried at all. Your status is secure. If you are a green card holder who is not applying for anything right now, you should not be worried. If you are in the middle of an application process, you should be prepared for delays, but you should not panic. Delays are not denials. Slow processing is not the same as being targeted. What you should do is stay informed, stay organized, and stay patient. Let me also say this. The immigration system is not perfect. It is slow, it is bureaucratic, it can be confusing and frustrating, but it is also structured. There are laws, procedures, and protections in place. Things do not happen randomly. If your case is denied, you have the right to appeal. If you are accused of something, you have the right to a hearing. If you need help, there are attorneys and organizations that can assist you. The system, for all its flaws, is not designed to arbitrarily hurt people. It is designed to process millions of applications with limited resources, and that means delays. I want to end by summarizing the key points. Congress passed a budget bill that includes cuts to immigration processing resources. This may lead to longer wait times for green card renewals, naturalization applications, and other immigration services, particularly for older applicants. However, this does not mean anyone's citizenship is being revoked. It does not mean green card holders are being deported. It does not mean people over 65 are being targeted for removal. What it means is that the already slow system is going to be even slower. If you are a U.S. citizen, you are safe. If you are a green card holder, your status remains valid, but you may experience delays if you need to renew or apply for something. The best thing you can do is stay organized, file your applications early, and be patient. If you have concerns about your specific case, speak with an immigration attorney. I hope this video has brought you some clarity and peace of mind. I know immigration can be overwhelming, especially when headlines are designed to scare you. My goal is always to cut through the noise and give you the truth. If you found this helpful, please consider leaving a comment below. Let me know if you have questions or if there are other topics you would like me to cover. I read every comment and I do my best to respond. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, you are informed, you are prepared, and you are going to be okay. Take care.